everybody, Matt here. We're getting closer and closer to the the official release of the 2024 D&D Players Handbook rules. Super excited about what's coming. I've been flipping through the book a whole bunch, trying to make some videos here and there. One section of the book that I kept just flipping right over, skipping clear over, that because it was boring, right? In the 2014 rule set, the stuff that we're used to is just not exciting. Of course, I'm talking about tools and adventuring gear. Making a brand new character, even on even on D&D Beyond, how easy that is to make a character. You get to that part where like starting equipment, and other than the weapon that you want to start with, or other really specific character background, character needed things, you're like, oh, I get a explorer's pack with some like rope and things, or a priest pack, maybe with some incense. That's not super exciting. That's not super fun. I think it gets glossed over so much, and it has been for 10 years now. Really like the changes that they made to a lot of these. They've added an extra element to both tools and the adventuring gear that gives extra bonuses. And I think it's going to really help for the veterans out there, old school D&D players. Maybe I get it. This is not super exciting. But for a brand new player who's never played before and starting at like level 1, when you don't have like a ton of spells available to you, or the new weapon masteries, maybe you're limited on that, or your options aren't that expansive. I think that the new tools and the new adventuring gear descriptions can really add a lot of elements to a brand new player and help them think out of the box in situations, right? Help them really look at their character sheet and what inventory they have on them, and see if it helps the situation. So I'm gonna go over like 10 or so of just some, not random, but some of my favorites. Not all of them are super amazing. None of them are really super amazing, to be honest. This is still kind of a boring topic a little bit, but I do see a lot of potential in it, and I'm excited to see where it goes. It still might get glossed over, and no one will care about it 10 years from now. But it's something I stopped and looked at the pages and like, hey, this is pretty cool. I want to talk about it. So again, this is in the player's handbook. This is not in the Dungeon Master's book or anything like that. Dungeon Master's Guide, which hasn't been released yet. So these are options that are rules as written for the player to utilize. Uh, Obviously, there's some different checks in here. There's some different things that a DM obviously can weigh in on, but it's just part of the kit now. So for tool sets now, there is no requirement for being proficient with the tools to use them. If you are proficient with it, then you would add your proficiency modifier, your proficiency bonus to that check. It also says that if you have a proficiency in another skill that's tied to this thing, you can roll the tool check with advantage as well. So it really helps to lean into using this to help flesh out your character and make it a big part of possibly your background, especially like with cook utensils or carpentry or whatever it might be. I think it really helps potentially flesh out characters, especially for new players. The second part is a big component, especially with the tools, not the adventuring gear, but the tool set is crafting. Crafting is now in the player's handbook, and every one of these tools, pretty much, pretty sure every one of these tools has a craftable item or a list. Most of them have lists of craftable items that you can make when you have this tool set and as you use them. So I think it's really cool. I think it's going to be a new dynamic that we see. Hopefully, I really do. I hope that, especially for new players, it's a new dynamic that we see. So just to start off, like so for like wood carvers, for example, the wood carver tool set, you can. It's the ability is a little bit not that exciting. You can. It is a tool set that's based on dexterity, so you can make a DC 10 dexterity check to carve a symbol into wood, or pattern. Sorry, to carve a pattern into wood. Not super exciting. Also, it's a low DC that you can add your proficiency modifier to, and potentially advantage with dex. So, right, it's not that exciting, but it's not that hard to do. You can just carve stuff into wood. What's more exciting is that with that tool set, you can craft your own arrows for your bows and bolts for your crossbows. So if you're playing a bigger adventure where you're out in the wilderness and not able to go to town very often and buy those supplies, you can then make your own, which it's kind of niche. Maybe it's not what you're going to find in every game, and you shouldn't find it in every game. But I think it's a cool thing to have, and help again helps develop your character. Similarly, is Smith's tools. Now, with Smith tools, that's a strength based tool set, and it gives you the ability to utilize that tool set to make a DC 20 check to attempt to pry open a door or a container that maybe you don't have access to. So if you don't have a rogue that can do sleight of hand on the chest, what about a Smith's tool guy that can just pry the thing open? It's interesting to me that it's an ability, it's a mechanic. I'm curious to see where that goes. But more importantly, with the Smith's tools, you get to make metal things. You get to make the ball bearings, the caltrops, heavy armor, uh, firearm ammunition. So you can help out your party in that regard as well. Talk with your DM, I guess, and find some armor on the battlefield and a helmet or whatever. Maybe smelt it down and make some ammunition if you can. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how it will play out, and it's not even for me to decide. Right, it's the DM, you and the DM, but it's a neat factor. It's a neat thing. One of the coolest things that you can make as with the Smith's tools is now we're switching gears a little bit to the adventuring gear section is a chain. Now chains seem super cool to me. They do take your full action. It's the utilize action now, so it's not just one of your extra attack actions. You know, you do have to use your full action, but you can wrap chains around any unwilling creature within 5 feet of you that has the grappled, restrained, or incapacitated condition, which then gives them the restrained condition. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter if they're already restrained and then you're restraining them even more. Maybe that's silly, but the grapple, if you can turn a grapple into restrained, that might be cool. That might be good. And it only takes a DC 13 athletics check on the person applying the chain to put it on. And then the DC to get out of it is an 18 acrobatics to wiggle out or a 20 athletics to just break the chains. So I don't know. I just think it's a cool thing that for a new player, a new little baby level one character to, a neat moment. Someone else runs up and grapples the opponent, and they, use their ability to wrap the chain around them with a 13 check, which is pretty low. It's really cool to me. I think it's fun. I think it creates fun scenarios or situations that could be really memorable for new players. The cook's utensils is another one that I think is really fun. It's very simple. You can just with like it is a wisdom based u- tool utensil, and you can with a DC 10 you can make food taste better, and with a 15 you can detect poison or spoiled foods. It's a lot of flavor. You can also the crafting part of this tool set is you can make rations. So right, so again, you're out in the woods, you're not able to make it back in town, and you kill an owl bear. I don't know. You make some rations out of it, or maybe an animal that's less loved by the community. But you get what I'm saying, right? It gives you more options as a player to do something. It's a subtle suggestion for a new player to think about their character and think that they what they would do without. Sorry, okay, I'm gonna do a little tangent. In this hobby, in this thing that we all love, there are a lot of I think players with anxiety. There are a lot of players that sometimes I played with them at the table are sometimes afraid to speak up or say what they want to, like can I cut the meat? Can I do whatever? I think that having these rule sets, again, they're not game breaking, they're not massive, but it leads a new player to some options that they can do for their character, and it even gives a skill check DC, so they can feel confident in that. I don't know. That's a big part of why I'm making this video and why I'm a big fan, because I think it does give. I've always played at tables where I could say some crazy shenanigan thing, and my DM's probably gonna you know maybe roll their eyes, but they'll let me do it. But now these are mechanics to help new players think in that mode and start thinking about the world around them that they're playing in, and what potential things they could do, and how to navigate that world in a fun way. Okay, here's two for one kind of back again to adventuring gear, not tools, but adventuring gear. They've now added mechanics to bed rolls and blankets. If you're playing in some kind of campaign where the elements are an issue and you need to stay warm so you don't get exhaustion or get unalived or whatever, then now blankets wrap yourself up and get advantage on the saving throw. While in a bed roll, you automatically succeed on the extreme cold save. So I think these are I don't know, they're neat. They're so niche. It's so niche, but it's fun to to have that and make sure like how many times have you as a player character really concerned yourself with a bedroll or with a blanket on your person, right? We don't think about that. We don't, maybe you think about your spell components. Maybe you think about that rope that you have, those types of stuff. We don't think about the bedrolls. It's just there. But now, if you're playing in an environment, or maybe it can like inspire a DM to help maybe put them into an environment where, hey, don't forget your bedroll. Like, make sure you have that. You're gonna freeze. I maybe it's crunchy for no reason. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I'm inspired by it. I like the idea of this. It feels very much Tomb of Annihilation, right? Where you needed to have water for the day. You needed to have bug spray and or bug nets and whatever, and try to, it's you versus the environment a lot of times, and trying to make sure you survive. I like to see these mechanics. Obviously, they're optional. Obviously, you're not going to do it every time. If you're in Baldur's Gate and you're hanging out, or you're in Waterdeep and it's never that cold, this isn't a issue, right? Just get a room at the inn above the tavern. No big deal. But I like it. It's more fleshed out. And in the 2014 rules, it was just this is a bedroll. A medium creature can sleep in it or whatever. Like there's nothing else extra. Now there's a mechanic to it, which intrinsically I feel makes it seem more important, and I like that. Okay. Now that I've had my TED talk about all this stuff, back to fun stuff. Brewer's tools, or Brewer's kit, I think it's called, in the tool section. I think it's really fun. Again, for certain campaigns, if you are familiar with the Brewer's tool, you can make certain checks to one, see if things are poisoned, or see if things have alcohol in them. You can sniff for alcohol, which if it was a high intrigue, a high political whatever, like just to see if maybe something's poisoned, or some other scenario. I think it'd be fun. Like, like no, I have this ability. I'm very good at making alcohol and booze. I know when something smells off, and to be able to roll that check, I think it's really cool. Cobblers is one of my favorite. Like a shoemaker, right? They have an ability where they could take a little bit, take some time and make a DC 10 dexterity check to work on someone's shoes, and when they do so, that the wearer of those shoes get advantage on their next acrobatics check, which I think is super fun. I think that's like a neat like what? Like you're climbing a wall or you're getting ready to do something and you're like, "Hey, hold on. Let me see your shoes real quick." And they start going in and I don't know, doing whatever shoemakers do and like, "All right, now you're good." And you give a friend advantage. I don't know. Yeah, I guess in the 2014 rules, you could just like give them the help action and help them up over the wall and it would be the same thing, but this is more flavor. This is more fun. Uh, you know, give some love to cobblers, shoemakers out there. Glass blowers are similar. I don't know why this is funny to me. With a glass blowers tool set, you can make a DC 15 intelligence check to determine what a glass object held. So I guess right, you come upon uh, a vase of us, and like, oh, pretty sure it was flowers. I need a DC 15 check to figure that out. Or I, I always think of the stuff or whatever, right? There's a mysterious glass pipe that you find on the ground. Like, oh, let me make a check real quick to see what was in it. Like, we all know what's in it, but I don't know. It's one of the funnier ones to me. Listen, I'm here for it. If I ever hear of an amazing story where someone solved the whole puzzle, the riddle, the BBEG's motive by figuring out what was in a glass vessel, then I love it. I'm here for it. And my absolute favorite, this is not a tool. This is just an adventuring guild. Anybody can have this. Uh, but it's just perfume. Perfume now you can spray on yourself, and within the next hour, any creature that is indifferent to you is what the book says, and you try to make a persuasion check, you can make it at advantage. So I think that's a really cool one. It's probably my favorite one. It's definitely my favorite one. Of just that idea of like, oh man, let's go into this shop and let's see if we can get a good deal. Maybe they'll give us half price on their healing potions. And you're like, wait a minute, let me. All right, I'm perfumed up. Let's go get advantage on these persuasion checks. Like that type of idea. I don't know. That seems super fun to me, especially ones that are maybe still new to role play or that type of thing. And like if they see that in their kit, if they see that in their equipment that they get advantage on this, like to pull it out, like I'm gonna put perfume on myself to give myself advantage. I don't know. I love that stuff. It's not none of this is world changing. None of this is massive, but it's just little. I don't want to say quality of life, but just these, little changes to make the game just a little bit more flavorful, a little bit more fun, especially for new players. So, anyway, that's my kind of like just a little highlights on the tools and adventuring gear section of the book. The book comes out soon. Obviously, feel free to check it all out and see what other changes there are. I hope we start utilizing this. I hope it becomes more of a thing, especially at low level, right? If you're level 20, you probably don't care so much. Although, even at level 20, who's going to turn down, an hour long advantage on persuasion checks, right? You never outgrow some perfume at any age or level. So I don't know. Uh, yeah, that's it. I don't know. Not much more to talk about. That's the tools and adventuring gear stuff. Thanks for joining. Thanks for checking it out. And again, if you have any questions, get in the comments. Let me know. As always, again, thanks for watching. Thanks for checking us out. Hope you have a great day.